Keir Starmer has just faced another coup against his leadership, this time coming from those within the Labour Party and the British military who believe sincerely that his refusal to adequately fund our armed forces is going to lead to the deaths of British service personnel and the danger of millions of British people. Our national security is literally at risk here. Now, yesterday, first of all, we had the Defence Secretary resign and call for Starmer to go as well. And then a few hours later, we had the Armed Forces Minister, Al Khan's, do the exact same thing. But before he resigned and after the Defence Secretary has resigned, he gave an interview to Sky News, which is absolutely damning. And I truly believe this single video that you're about to watch is basically the entire reason for Starmer's death warrant just being signed. So if you want the news the legacy media won't show you, like and comment under this video for the algorithm and subscribe to the channel as well. Or you can join my Substack to see the content I'm not allowed to post on YouTube by clicking the link in the description down below. And let's get right into the video.
Al, are you still a minister?
I am. I'm the Minister of Armed Forces within the Defence. Yeah.
OK, for now at least. We'll come to that a bit later, perhaps. Has John Healey, though, made the right decision to quit?
I think John is an exceptionally hard-working, principled man, and I think he left on that principle. I've worked with him now for 2 years, and he has worked tirelessly to better equip Defence and support the people within it.
And do you agree with his assessment that the failure to find the cash that the MOD's been asking for risks leaving the country less safe?
Well, I think we live, and I've always said this, 24 years in the Marines, we live in a more geopolitically dangerous time than ever before. And so finding the correct the funding mechanism is absolutely essential. And I think the second also is making sure the Defence Investment Plan is as transformative as it can be. And I think the two need to meet in the middle to provide the right capability, kit and equipment for our armed forces.
Well, so what did you think when Number 10 presented you with the sign-off for this deal?
I mean, I wasn't in the Defence Investment Plan. I saw it 2 weeks ago. And when I saw it, I wasn't happy with the level of transformation within it, particularly the lessons from Ukraine, uncrewed systems, automation, and pulling those lessons into every section of our armed forces. So I think there's much more work to be done in that space. But then when you match that with the funding settlement as we move...
Something that's really interesting here, the entire scandal here comes from the Defence Investment Plan. Basically, Starmer wanted to solidify his position as big on the world stage. Now, we hate him for what he's done in the country, but actually he's not been quite as awful when it comes to international affairs. Yes, of course, there's the Chagos Islands, which is an absolute disgrace. But for the most part, he's been pretty run-of-the-mill when it comes to things like Ukraine and Iran, pretty much what any other prime minister would have done in his situation. And so we sought to capitalize off that by launching this massive strategic review into our armed forces to work out, do we have the money, the resources, the capability, the men, the manpower to actually keep our country safe? And of course, the review came back and said no. And so then he launched another review asking, what do you need to keep our country safe? And that is called the Defence Investment Plan. Now, Starmer's basically hijacked that topic and that problem to try and garner support. And now it comes time for him to fund the military according to the Defence Investment Plan. And he's just refusing to do it, which is why now the Defence Secretary and the Armed Forces Minister and two ex-heads of the British Army have come out against him. An ex-head of the Royal Navy has come out against him. Basically, the entire Armed Forces community is rallying against Keir Starmer, saying, what are you doing? This is tantamount to treason. I can't serve in your government. I'm going to resign. I'm going to go on the news and I'm going to tell everyone how awful you are because of just how bad this is. But another reason this is just such an easy win for Starmer that he just threw away is that Al Khan's here is an armed forces minister. Now, what is an armed forces minister? Genuinely, I don't know. The Defence Secretary is basically the armed forces minister, but Starmer liked Al Khan's. He likes that he's ex-special forces, that he's a hard man, that he's, actually really patriotic, and he wanted him in government. So he invented basically a ministerial post for him and then just pushed him aside. Al Khan's had literally nothing to do with the Defence Investment Plan, which is ridiculous. Why have an armed forces minister if he isn't allowed insight or even to help run the armed forces in any way, shape or form?
Move to 2030, it isn't enough. And that's quite dangerous at a critical moment in sort of a geopolitical situation that we live.
I mean, you're a serving minister talking about a decision made, Number 10 Treasury, making the country more dangerous. That's extraordinary, isn't it?
I think what we need to do with the funding settlement is find innovative ways of finding the right amount of resource to give the kit and equipment to the armed forces.
So what, like war bonds, for example?
Well, I think we need to explore all of those options, whether it's the Defence Security Resilience Bank, whether it's some of the treasury mechanisms, whether it's copying what Germany has done, which is, in some cases, as long as the markets could accept it, with other allies, looking at some of the fiscal rules around borrowing for defence. I think we need to really look at this seriously and explore every option.
So, yes, so the Chancellor should sort of waive some of the fiscal rules specifically for this defence?
Well, we need to very carefully think about that because of the impacts for the markets and bonds, etc. But what I would say is we need to explore every option to ensure that we have the maximum amount of resource for defence and national security as a whole. As we, not only in this very dangerous geopolitical time, but I've been on the record in the next 2 to 3 years as every chance will be tested.
The really, really easy solution here for the government, for the country, is just cut benefits for foreigners, right? In particular, foreigners who can't even vote, because then Starmer and the Labour Party won't even lose the votes which come with giving away free money and free council houses to foreigners. Now, if you are someone from a country like China and you move into the UK, well, you can't automatically vote. So you can't actually express your democratic displeasure if someone takes away your free council house paid for by the British taxpayer, or the benefits you get, the job seekers allowance, the PIP, the free car, whatever else it might be, the free NHS access. The government could very, very easily and with absolute justification just stop giving away benefits to foreigners. And they don't even need to do it to the foreigners who can vote, like Pakistani or Indian or Nigerian nationals. They could just do it for those who can't. They wouldn't lose any electoral support. They would fix the funding gap. The money could go into the armed forces and our country would be safe. But no one in the Labour Party is discussing that, I'm afraid to say, including Al Khan's, who I have a lot of respect for, with regards to his military service, but still is part of a frankly evil government that hates Britain and British people. And even he isn't brave enough to just stand up and say, look, let's just put Britain first. Let's just put British people in the armed forces first. Let's stop giving benefits away to foreigners and just fund our military instead.
And we can't allow we can't fail. We can't allow our men and women on the front line to be under-equipped. Critical at the moment, in the middle of this discussion and the political furore that's going on, is right now as we speak, there's probably fast jets flying defensive combat air missions in the Middle East with pilots. There are people probably in trenches in Estonia supporting the Estonians, against that threat from Russia. And there will be people at sea all over the world protecting, the freedoms that we enjoy.
And they're being put at risk by this government's decision.
They will be looking back into the system and wondering what's going on. And I think it's really important, no pun intended, that we steady the ship and do right by them.
So when you got that plan from Number 10, when you saw it and it really wasn't fit for purpose, did you think about quitting yourself?
Well,
this interview took place about 5 hours before he then resigned from the cabinet as a result of this.
The defence good hesitation there. The defence investment plan as a whole, I haven't been involved in, and I found that very strange, as in the construct of what was in that plan. But I can understand some of the reasons why not, because I can disrupt things every now and again. I wouldn't say alarmed, but I was very concerned that it wasn't necessarily heeding the lessons from Ukraine. Particularly on drones and uncrewed systems, and how cheap systems are replacing large, expensive bits of kit, such as, in some cases, heavy armour, all the way through to major combatant platforms at sea. And I wanted to see more of the new, innovative way of fighting that the Ukrainians are teaching us. Yeah. There are some false lessons from there as well, but some of those lessons pulled into the dip and the very central premise of it, rather than jammed in at the back end with a lower percentage of the funding.
I'll come back to some of those innovative things you're talking about, but is it fair to say, you hesitated when I asked if you considered quitting, is it fair to say you are currently considering your position?
So within the situation, I need to do what is right by the armed forces. And if I don't think that's right, then I will absolutely consider my position. And from my perspective at the moment, we have not closed with this deal. When we have closed with this deal, I will decide my position.
Right, so you're putting Number 10 on notice, effectively. If you don't get what you believe is right for the armed forces out of this defence investment plan, you will also follow John Healey out the door.
I will decide on my position within the government. I think we need to be really, really clear. There are two things that we need to look at. First is the capability, so the tanks, the ships, the bombs, the bullets that we give to our armed forces, the physical component. And then I've been really clear on one other issue, which isn't talked about, is the moral component. And that's about the Northern Ireland Legacy Act. And until we see changes in those two elements, I will definitely consider my position until they're changed.
Number 10 doesn't know you're doing this interview, do they?
I'm not sure.
I mean, all authority and control has broken down in the government, hasn't it?
No, I think, I'll be really clear. From my perspective, Keir Starmer's a good man. I think he's an integral man. I think he's an honest man. I think he's trying his very best in very difficult circumstances.
But does he have the authority at the moment?
So I'm a junior minister, so my engagement with Number 10 is actually very limited. I work either to John Healey or the Secretary of State for Defence within the department. So my engagement is limited. My view on Number 10 as a whole is it's trying its very best to come to some very complex solutions to difficult problems.
Have they offered you the job of Defence Secretary?
So I haven't had any offer to date. I'm not expecting an offer. I want to do my job. I want to steady the ship and get on with supporting those people we just talked about on the front line or at sea or in the air that are defending our citizens, our allies and our country.
Would you relish the chance of steadying the ship at the top of that department?
Well, I think you've got a very difficult problem to deal with. The Defence Investment Plan needs transformed, which is difficult to do, and that means more time. We've already waited a long time for the Defence Investment Plan. The financial piece needs to be settled, and the two of those different elements, pieces of the jigsaw, need to connect together to provide the right kit for armed forces within the right settlement, so we can get on with equipping our army off and military, Army, Navy and Air Force off into the next couple of years.
Do you think you might get sacked for doing this interview?
What will happen? What will happen? I think we've got to a point now where I'm being really honest. I'm often get my head down and keep my head down and get on with doing the job. And I think now we just need to discuss and openly challenge some of the issues that we have, whether that be Northern Ireland legacy all the way through, in particular, to defence investment and indeed.
It is really funny how this ended up playing out, looking back at this with some hindsight. Number 10, Downing Street, Starmer were reportedly absolutely furious that Al Khan's had the balls to go on here and give this interview without their permission. And apparently on this phone call, this is what's being reported in the press that I've seen, Al Khan's basically said, well, what are you doing to fix it? These are the problems I have with the bills that you're pushing. These are the problems that John Healey had as well. He's already resigned. What are you going to do to fix it? Starmer replied, I'm not going to do anything. I've made my decision. I'm sticking with it. And that's reportedly why Al Khan's, following this interview, then resigned as well. Pretty horrendous stuff for Starmer. He literally has no options here. His entire political basis is built around the white working class who have not yet been replaced enough demographically for Starmer to just switch to the Muslim migrant community or other migrant communities to win another majority. And yet the inner workings of the Labour Party have been hijacked by extreme leftists, socialists, globalists, climate changists who don't care about anything to do with Britain. All they care about is virtue signalling. And those two groups, the white working classes, who Labour cannot survive without, and then the extremists, the socialists and the minority ethnics who just want preferential treatment at the end of the day, they are diametrically opposed. There really is nothing that Labour can do to survive here. Sure, they might get another chance at government in 15 or 20 years when a new leader comes along after they've lost the next general election and they try to rebuild a coalition of something. I don't know what it will be, frankly, because the working class are going to reform. The upper classes seem to mostly be sticking with the Tories, and Labour are left with what? The socialists and the minorities who just aren't a big enough demographic force in the UK to actually win some kind of a majority with. Now, if you want the news the legacy media won't show you, like and comment under this video and subscribe to the channel for the algorithm, or you can join my Substack to see the content I'm not allowed to post on YouTube by clicking the button on screen now. My mission with this channel is to provide the real news the legacy media won't show you, but unfortunately there are some things I'm just not allowed to say here, and recently more and more of my videos have been getting demonetized and censored, so I've launched an email newsletter covering the news that I'm not allowed to talk about here. So if you want to learn the truth about the establishment they don't want you to see, join my Substack by clicking the button on screen right now.